I'm Adam Seibel. The search underway for a suspect accused of killing 3 people and injuring 3 others in a Saturday night Texarkana shooting. Police are searching for 20-year-old Brioski Warren. Officials say a fistfight broke out between 2 men at a party around 9 p.m. last night. Officers said at least 2 men pulled out rifles and started shooting. 1 man died at the scene, and a woman died overnight in the hospital. 3 other victims, 2 men and a woman, suffered life-threatening injuries and were taken to a hospital for treatment. Texarkana authorities say they are attempting to locate Warren. On Saturday, October 28th, Hallettsville police conducted a traffic stop in the 1200 block of East 4th Street for a traffic violation. During the investigation, an adult male was found to be in possession of methamphetamine, fentanyl, and a pistol. The adult male, age 20, of Hallettsville was arrested for 2 counts of possession of a controlled substance and unlawful carry of a weapon. He was transported and booked into the Lavaca County Jail. Plans for a new middle school in Goliad are coming along. The GMS land surveys is complete. These are the near final exterior renderings of the future middle school. Goliad ISD said that they have spent extensive time ensuring an economic and practical design while maintaining a true to Goliad look and feel. Proposed groundbreaking is scheduled for spring of 2024. Other HVAC, fencing, and roof projects are ongoing with the bonds funds throughout the district. You can vote early in Victoria County all this week. The hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday and Thursday extended hours 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thursday and Friday. You can vote at the Dr. Patty Dotson Health Center, 2805 North Navarro in Classroom A. So only 2 days till Halloween, so here's your viewer poll tonight. Do you plan to dress your pet up for Halloween? Looks like 6% say yes and 94% say no. We want to hear from you, and you can also post your pet photos. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote. Send in those cute pet photos. Well, Howie, when I went into dinner, it felt like summer, and then when I left dinner, walked outside, I was like, oh, it's just the seasons changed like that, it felt like.
Seasons can change on a dime around here in South Texas, Adam. When we had our first show several hours ago, it was 84 degrees. Now it is 55 degrees. So a 30-degree drop plus winds, the real feel, very much on the nasty side. Now, rain not too bad. You're seeing spotty showers, widely scattered areas, some places staying on the drier side. But here, really, in the Crossroads, rain is not too bad, at least at the moment. The biggest factor is kind of moisture, running into moisture. That's creating the lift for these showers. But the biggest factor right now, or the biggest well-known entity are the temperatures. Look how they're just dropping away. They'll be into the 40s. Again, wind chills can feel like the 30s. So very much on the cold side. Winds gusting away to 30, 35 miles per hour. We'll talk more about this drastic seasonal change in my full forecast in just a bit, Adam.
All right. Thanks, Howie. More details emerging surrounding Matthew Perry's death. The beloved Friend star was found at his Pacific home after an apparent drowning. The cause of his death is yet to be determined, but investigators say there were no drugs located at the scene and no evidence of foul play. Perry has been open about his battle with drugs and alcohol over the course of his career, even writing a memoir about his near-death experience in 2019 when his colon burst due to opioid overuse. His memoir also included his struggles with addiction, revealing that he had spent millions in an attempt to become sober and had been to rehab at least 15 times. Perry was 54 years old. Now to that horrific mass shooting in Maine and the investigation into possible missed warning signs. We're learning exclusive new details about the suspect, Robert Card. He tried but failed to buy a silencer months before the shooting rampage, and that community finally able to mourn together now that the urgent manhunt is over.
Tonight, exclusive new details in Maine as ABC News has learned just a few months prior to that massacre, the suspect tried to buy a gun silencer but was turned away.
We still have in our possession the silencer. It's still here.
In August, Robert Card ordered this silencer. It was shipped to the closest dealer, Coastal Defense, owned by Lewiston City Council President Rick LaChapelle. Upon filling out this firearms transaction form, asked in part, "Have you ever been committed to a mental institution?" the suspect checked yes. And under Maine's so-called yellow flag law, store employees told him they could not give him the silencer, and he left.
We did what we were supposed to do and hopefully saved a lot of lives by just following the proper procedures.
Last month, a Maine sheriff reportedly sent an alert to local authorities after sources say the suspect threatened to shoot up an Army Reserve Center.
We paid attention to it, kept an eye on the area. The guy never showed up down here, never had contact with him, no nothing.
Late Friday, investigators found the suspected gunman's body in an unlocked trailer, having died from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. It marked the end of a terrifying 48-hour stretch with 70,000 people put on lockdown. The community now finally able to come together to grieve the 18 people killed in the rampage. Angela Turgeon lost her aunt Tricia Aslin in the shooting.
There's a sense of relief, a sense of safety, but it doesn't take away from the huge hole in our community.
And authorities say they haven't seen evidence the suspect was forcibly admitted to a mental health facility, meaning it wouldn't have pinged on a background check, preventing him from buying guns. Trevor Ault, ABC News, Lewiston, Maine.
The United Auto Workers have expanded their strike against GM. The union called its members to strike against GM's engine plant in Spring Hill, Tennessee. Workers were outside the plant carrying picket signs. The plant employs 4,000 workers and sends motors to 9 assembly plants. GM released a statement saying 2 plants that make large pickups could be affected by the strike and said it wants to reach an agreement quickly. The expanded walkout against GM comes after the union reached agreements earlier in the week with Ford and Chrysler owner Stellantis. Grab your cell phone, scan this QR code. This is our quick response code to download the Crossroads Today app, which lets you watch us anytime, anywhere, and get breaking news alerts and vote in our viewer polls. You can also learn about our ongoing contests right there on the app and submit news tips and photos. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Coming up, chaos at an airport in Russia as a flight from Tel Aviv arrived. The Ministry of Health reporting at least 20 people injured tonight.
Strong winds when temperatures are dropping into the 50s and the 40s, can feel like the 30s. So very windy, very chilly. We'll talk more about it coming up in just a bit.
Chaos at an airport in Russia as a flight from Tel Aviv arrived. The Ministry of Health of Dagestan reporting at least 20 people injured tonight. ABC News has learned most of the injured are police officers who were hit by stones. Those protests erupting as Israel steps up its attacks against Hamas. IDF tanks moving across the border into Gaza.
A frightening scene unfolding at an international airport in Dagestan, a majority Muslim republic inside Russia. Video circulating online purportedly shows protesters storming the terminal and tarmac as a flight arrived from Tel Aviv, shouting anti-Semitic slogans, preventing passengers from getting off the plane. This comes as Israel's war against Hamas enters what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is calling a new stage. Israeli tanks crossing the border into Gaza. The IDF says it's expanding its ground operations, pushing deeper into the Gaza Strip. An increasing number of military vehicles seen in the southern Israeli border town of Sderot Sunday evening. ABC's Matt Rivers was near the Gaza border as shell after shell was fired from Israel.
So that is the sound of an escalation in this conflict. We're about a half mile or so from the Gaza border, and we've been hearing constant outgoing artillery fire, jets flying overhead, striking targets inside of Gaza.
The Israeli military says it killed dozens of militants on Sunday, including commanders from the tactical echelon. President Biden spoke with Netanyahu by phone, saying Israel needs to defend itself in a manner consistent with international humanitarian law. The U.S. says Hamas hides behind the civilian population,
which puts an added burden on Israel to differentiate between the terrorists and innocent civilians. But it doesn't lessen their responsibility under international humanitarian law.
But the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is growing. Hundreds of desperate people breaking into UN warehouses, taking food and other necessities. The director of the UN Relief and Works Agency saying it's a worrying sign that civil order has started to break down in Gaza. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Now to politics and the big shakeup in the race for the White House. Mike Pence suspending his campaign, the former vice president making the bombshell announcement on Saturday at the annual Republican Jewish Coalition in Las Vegas. He's the highest profile candidate to exit the race so far.
Tonight, the Republican primary field is shrinking. Former Vice President Mike Pence, the biggest name so far to exit the race.
This is not my time. So after much prayer and deliberation, I have decided to suspend my campaign for president effective today.
Pence started his campaign defending this moment.
The chair declares the joint session dissolved.
His decision to do his job and certify the 2020 election results, infuriating former President Trump and Trump's supporters on January 6th. Now Trump, far and away the front runner, asking Pence for his endorsement, even while bashing him on his way out.
Because I had a great, successful presidency and he was the vice president.
There are still 6 major contenders in the race, some praising Pence today.
Mike ran a tough race, a good race.
He's been a good man of service.
And this week, both of former President Trump's adult sons, as well as Ivanka Trump, are scheduled to testify in the civil fraud trial. The New York Attorney General has accused Trump and his businesses of fraudulently inflating the size of their assets in order to get better bank and insurance deals. Mary Alice Parks, ABC News, Washington.
At least 2 people have died and almost 18 were injured during Halloween celebrations in Florida early this morning. Police say the shooting took place around 3 a.m. on East 7th Avenue when a fight broke out between 2 groups. 2 people were killed and 18 others hospitalized. The extent of their injuries is unknown. One person who may have been involved surrendered to the police. They believe there were at least 2 shooters. For more on today's news stories, come to crossroadstoday.com. Don't forget to submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Estrain will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise, and you can submit a local military hero so we can recognize them.
A little bit of rain, but nowhere near as bad as the wind and the cold. We'll touch more on it coming up in just a bit. All right, guys, so here's what we're looking at. We are looking at strong cold front for tonight. It is on its way now. Early week rain chances. So rain chances should increase a little bit, but that's really not the big story. The big story is going to be the winds and the chill down for Halloween. All right, today, 87 degrees. My car said 91, so really close to a record today. And now we're in the 50s, dropping down in the 40s. Add the wind chill. Yeah, it can feel like the 40s or the 30s. That is a drastic change. I'm wearing my winter coat compared to 3 or 4 hours ago. Yeah, people, there's no such thing as bad weather, Crossroads, just inappropriate clothing. I'm bundled up. That's the only way you're gonna acclimate to this huge weather change. Here's our temperatures. Here's what we're doing. Into the 40s now. Again, with the winds amped up, 35, 40 mile per hour gusts, this really could feel like the 30s. So go from the 90s to the 30s. That is not a pleasant feeling by any means. Maybe some of you are welcoming this. I'm not. This is more December weather, and here we are, not even Halloween, not even November, just a couple days away. Usually it's warm and sunny. Now, here's the rain. As a whole, here's this front. It's bringing rain to a good portion of Texas. But when you really zoom in to the Crossroads, a lot of it's missing us. Very spotty showers. I would say most of the area staying on the dry side. So really the biggest news is the winds and the cold temperatures. A couple hours ago, if you joined us at the 5 or 5:30, we were sitting at about 74, 76. Look at them dropping as the boundary pushes through, wrenching out the atmosphere of moisture. Look at this, into the 40s and 50s. We're still going to drop a little bit as that cool, dry, sinking air continues to move into the Crossroads. And here's the winds I'm talking about, gusting away to 30 to 35 miles per hour out of the water. Be extremely careful. A lot of waves, very turbulent from these winds. Again, these winds added to the cold makes it feel very abysmal out there, very, very much on the cold side. This cool, dry air will continue to move into sinking air. But later in the week, believe it or not, we could warm back up into the 70s and the 80s, maybe by the weekend as high pressure moves in, allowing some sunshine, and eventually we'll see a return flow out of the Gulf of some warm air. But here's our future tracker. Here's what we got. Just like the radar present time, it really is not showing a lot of showers our way or moving through quite rapidly. So really totals should not be too bad. And then we dry off for a good portion of the week. So today and tomorrow, maybe the rain amped up, but not a lot of it is making its way into the Crossroads. Here's a marine forecast. I talked about it. Frequent gust at 40 knots, 6 to 11 foot seas. That's going to keep our bays on the rough side. Be very, very careful. Tammy, staying away from everybody. This feature here in the next 24 to 36 hours east of the Bahamas, yes, this could be a tropical storm, but it's not going to last very long. As soon as it powers up, it's going to run into some upper level winds and some dry air, going to deteriorate pretty much on the rapid side. All right, here's what we're looking at now. 45 overnight. Yes, very, very much on the chilly side. And then for tomorrow, 55 after being close to 90 today. Another rain chance, winds gusting to 30 miles per hour. And looking ahead to the rest of the week, Halloween going to be a breezy, chilly one. Again, if you're bundled up with a nice costume, could feel pretty good out there. But hey, later in the week, this is South Texas. We don't stay cold very long. Back potentially into the 80s, maybe Friday and into Sunday. For more weather, news, and sports, you can go to our app. That's at crossroadstoday.com, and that is free with any Android and iPhone. And now we go to Sports with Zach.
It's the last week of the regular season. We've got some big matchups. I'll have that coming up in sports. We are entering the last week for the regular season in high school football, and boy, we've got some big games ahead of us. Victoria West Warriors almost pull out a big upset on Friday, which would have put them in first place in the district. The Miller Buccaneers did just enough on offense to edge out West, who was obviously disappointed after the game, but they know one thing: they've got to keep pushing and get ready for the big East versus West game this week.
I felt like we played our butts off. We did good. We just had unfortunate mistakes, but I'm proud of my boys. You can't really just dwell on it, you know, just on to the next. Keep continuing to play hard.
The kids are, you know, the team's obviously got some disappointment, and when you play that hard and you go for something, and you know, I think that's just, you know, that's just part of it. You know, that's what makes this, you know, such a team thing, is we just got to continue to come together and move forward.
As I mentioned, they can't hang their heads for too long. They get the Victoria East Titans, who are coming off a massive win over Veterans Memorial. The two will battle it out for playoff positioning. Big-time rivalry. Both teams have looked great this year. This one promises to be a fantastic showing. Another huge game this week, the Refugio Bobcats versus the Ganado Indians. That game for the district title. Keelan Brown, of course, surrounded by elite track speed. The Bobcats projected to win district, but Ganado, led by quarterback Bryce Ullman, has thrown for over 30 touchdowns on the year, but Ganado's defense is what makes this one interesting. They've only allowed more than 20 points all year. We can't wait for that big battle. And the Hallettsville Brahmans will welcome Yoakum this Friday. Those two will also battle it out for playoff positioning. All right, let's go on and move along to some video. NFL Sunday, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Los Angeles Rams, and Dallas all over L.A. This game over at Jerry World, but Dak owned the place this afternoon. He was 25 of 31 with 4 touchdowns. He did throw one pick. The Cowboys positioned right behind the Eagles, who got the win earlier, but their record is 5-2. Big showdown next week when America's team faces the Eagles. Could be pivotal if Dallas wants any shot at winning the division. And the Houston Texans trying to improve to 4-3, taking on the winless Carolina Panthers. They would take the lead on 4th and goal on a C.J. Stroud quarterback sneak, but heartbreak for Houston. The Texans lose on another last-second field goal. They now fall to 3-4, missing out on a big opportunity in their chase for the playoffs. But a silver lining for Houston fans: the Texans do own Cleveland's first-round pick next year. They got the L today. That's it for your sports. Adam, back to you.
All right, thanks, Zach. Stay with us. Coming up, a 64-year-old Santa Cruz, California woman is headed to the World Skate Games in Rome. A 64-year-old Santa Cruz, California woman is headed to the World Skate Games in Rome. Judy Oma is headed to the World Skate Games in Rome. She's been skateboarding for more than 50 years. She just qualified for next year's event where she'll be a member of the U.S. Slalom team. She was sometimes the only woman competing and was even shut out of competitions completely. However, she's never stopped and paved the way for other female athletes by fighting for more women's divisions. She hopes that they'll eventually become included in the Olympics so she can train just like the Olympian, just in case. Well, that is really cool.
Is it like the X Games or the same thing or no?
Yeah, I don't know if it's
I
the
don't
exact
know if it's
thing.
What is X Games? Is that the motocross type stuff?
Yeah, I think it's.
Oh no, that's like whenever like the Tony Hawk stuff. X Games. I guess kind of.
Yeah.
To me, it's X Games. I can't do any of
That's
that.
unbelievable right there. I mean,
Yeah, props to her. I cannot do
I've
that.
never done that in my
I
life.
can't even walk that way.
No.
Yeah. Oh, and she's going downhill. That's scary.
That's actually very impressive. She's 64.
Yeah, great job.
Well, I hope she makes it or goes well or however they grade her or judge her. But great job. What's going on here is, we are, look at that. Look at these winds. Temperatures dropping 30+ degrees compared to today's high. And yes, that is just a nasty cold environment out there in the Crossroads. I don't like it, but you know, it's been so hot. Maybe we're welcoming this for a day or two. So 45 overnight, then tomorrow back up to, just 55. So about 20 degrees below average. Looking ahead, believe it or not though, hey, Halloween's chilly, but by the weekend, we look to start warming back up.
All right, looks good. All right, thanks, Zach. Thanks, Howie. Thank you all for being with us. Have a safe and fun Halloween.
Trick or treat.
Trick or treat.